Hi everybody, it's RRPG here. It's April 4th, 2018, and welcome to RRPG Side-Quests. Let's revert back to Tekken 7, shall we? And of course, when I'm reverting back to Tekken 7, I'm going to be talking about Noctis Lucis from Final Fantasy 15 in Tekken 7 once again. Now, for many of you who have already know that Noctis in Tekken 7, or Noctis has been released for Tekken 7 as the third pack DLC ever since about a little over 2 weeks ago. And there are those who really enjoy playing him, while many of the people within the Tekken community, the most hardcore of the Tekken community, find him to be a really broken character. I knew for a fact that he was going to be a broken character when I saw people, you know, going up against him, and my friend Fighter Chaos included, when he streamed playing Tekken 7 a couple weeks ago, and he was going up against a bunch of people playing as Noctis, and he got whooped, and I felt really, really bad for him getting whooped by Noctis or all those people using him, because I knew that that teleportation attack or that warp strike was going to be, you know, people's, or people playing as other characters, their Achilles heel when it comes to Noctis and Tekken 7, because that warp strike can definitely be very broken. But then again, I saw other people, you know, just beat the crap out of Noctis, and they managed to get around the intricacies with how to beat him. And so, you know, it kind of makes me wonder at that point, should we officially declare Noctis as a broken character as of right now? I mean, there's lots of people who can figure out the the intricacies to get around his moves and all that, so maybe, just maybe, he's not really that much of a broken character. Mostly is, but not a full-on broken character. I wouldn't say he's like anything like Ultimate Rugal from Capcom vs. SNK 2, or Sissy from Match or Melee, which is Power Instinct, in the West, or the follow-up to Power Instinct. One of them, anyways, was called Match or Melee. But you may be asking yourself, how in the world did Noctis Lucis from Final Fantasy 15, the main protagonist of Final Fantasy 15, become a part of Tekken 7 to begin with? And you may be thinking, oh, they had Bandai Namco, they pulled some strings with Tetsuya Nomura. Well, guess what? You may be very shocked that Tetsuya Nomura had nothing to do with it, because it was all Katsuhiro Harada actually interviewing or having some history with Hajime Tabata, and he asked him if he could put Noctis Lucis into Tekken 7. And I have the official interview from Katsuhiro Harada of Bandai Namco Games interviewing Hajime Tabata from Square Enix about this whole thing. And of course they had a video that was put out, but I'll go over the cliff notes here of what was said in the interview based on what I found from Silcanera. Tekken series producer Katsuhiro Harada and Final Fantasy 15 director Hajime Tabata talk about how Noctis ended up joining the fight of Tekken 7 as a guest character in the latest behind-the-scenes interview. And of course, I won't show the video because it's from Bandai Namco Entertainment, so I will put a link in the description. You can actually go see that video for yourself. But anyway, here's the transcript from the interview and the quotes from Katsuhiro Harada, because from the interview, you didn't see Hajime Tabata talking, you actually saw the man Harada-san talking. But here's what he said. When Final Fantasy 15 was released, we witnessed the scope of its audience in Western countries, so those ideas about Final Fantasy and Tekken in the PS1 era just so happened to come up again. We strongly felt that it would be really sensational to do it now, as no one is expecting it, and in a very positive sense, doing so would allow the Tekken series to be bathed in spotlight, which could be a breath of fresh air. And when we looked at the Final Fantasy 15 character images, we saw that they were each individually drawn in a really attractive and appealing way. If we were to take Noctis, release him from the confines of his fantasy RPG world, and render him on a smaller scale in a fighting game like this, we felt that not only would it surprise everyone, but also we're quite confident that we were the only ones who could do it. I was able to meet up with Mr. Tabata, I guess it was last year, and discuss quite a bit. I was able to ask all sorts of questions, so you could say that my initial interest was more in Mr. Tabata than in Final Fantasy 15 itself. I had come to interview him about how Square Enix and the team had approached making Final Fantasy 15, so we already had history together and things started building up from there until the way they are now. So Mr. Tabata letting me speak with him was what led to everything, I would say. So yeah, that's pretty much how Noctis Lucis came into Tekken 7 to begin with. I mean, it was just Mr. Tabata, you know, revisiting an old friend of his within the Japanese video game industry, and, you know, pulling some strings and seeing if he could get the newest protagonist of a Final Fantasy game into the newest iteration of Tekken. So it's pretty much just all a bunch of marketing coming from both Square Enix and Bandai Namco, because it's basically bringing two properties together and seeing if more people can gravitate not only towards, you know, the fighting game series Tekken, but also to the Final Fantasy IP as well. So I guess you could say it does work in a way, but at the same time, not a lot of people have been very receptive toward, you know, playing as Noctis in this game because of, like I said, of how broken he is. But I would say that it was actually pretty cool, you know, that Mr. Tabata was able to go that far just to get a character like that from a company that people say is either, you know, either secretive or just very lame, or just lame duck, incompetent. But for me personally, I just, you know, really enjoy him. I just really like playing as Noctis. I mean, I'm not really good at him, like, or I'm not good at playing at Tekken like what many people from South Korea, you know, most of the pros are from South Korea, and they actually know how to play Tekken really well. But for me personally, I just love playing, you know, fighting games just to unlock the content my own way, instead of having to pay for DLC, which I think that's something I have vocalized in the past with how, you know, games as a service is really ruining, you know, earning what you manage to unlock. Instead, you have to pay for it. But I'm not going to delve into that. But as long as it's something that pertains to, like, content that's post-launch and made from scratch, then yeah, I definitely think that's downloadable content done right. But, you know, when it comes to the full bulk of the game, with, you know, having all the characters unlocked right at the get-go, that really just kills it for me. You know, for fighting games at least, because I really find no replay value in them, because, you know, a lot of these developers and publishers are pushing them towards the FGC, the fighting game community. But yeah, as I said, it's not my cup of tea. I mean, I really do enjoy Tekken 7 for what it is, but they really shouldn't have gone the whole 9 yards with making it for the FGC in mind. They should have made it for both casuals and the FGC. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to maintain an audience, is that you got to have, you know, rewards that you can get your hands on if you manage to unlock them by meeting certain criteria. That to me is only adding more replay value to fighting games, whereas the pay to earn or the games as a service model, for me personally, it's really killing fighting games. Anyways, I mean, if you haven't played Noctis yet and you're still thinking about getting him, he's only $8, whether if you're playing from the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or the PC through Steam. But yeah, if you definitely want to try him out, then $8, I don't think he's really not that much to brag home about. I mean, it's really not that loss of $8 if you just bought him to begin with. I mean, it's the same with Geese Howard. I mean, if you like playing as Geese in the SNK fighting games, then there's no crying over losing $8 that you spent with your money just to buy that character. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the comment from the last video where I talked about the Dragon Quest VR game coming to the VR Zone Shinjuku. And this is what Christian Lopez had to say, and he has been appearing in a lot of my videos lately. Well, not appearing, but his comments have been appearing in a lot of my videos lately. But yeah, if any of you are watching this video, then definitely be sure to leave your questions or your feedback down in the comments, so that way I'll highlight your comment in the next video and then your channel will get featured in the description. Anyways, this is what he had to ask. Do you think it's a good idea to make a sequel to Chrono Trigger? I ask this because so many people want it, and although I understand why, I feel it's unneeded, especially when it shares so many similarities with the Dragon Quest series. I'm not saying they're the same, I just think it's kind of unnecessary to make a sequel when Dragon Quest has been doing a lot of same stuff as Chrono Trigger. It just feels like people want a sequel just for the sake of having a sequel. And you know, that's one of the things I've been hearing a lot of people say lately, and thank you very much for bringing that up, Christian Lopez. A lot of people, they're saying that they want a sequel, but they want it to actually be treated in the same regard and in the same respect as the original Chrono Trigger, because Chrono Trigger is a really important piece of gaming history to a lot of people's hearts, and you know, me personally included. And I didn't really get into Chrono Trigger until I first played Chrono Cross, which is the spiritual sequel, or the official sequel, even though it didn't have the art style of Akira Toriyama or the game design from Yuji Horii had, you know, being brought on board. But you know, I'm really not against Chrono Trigger having an official sequel, but I'd say it's okay to have a sequel unless if they manage to take it seriously. But I can understand why so many people don't want sequels, because they felt that the original game is alright on its own and it managed to complete close a lot of the gaps in the story and a lot of the plot holes that were fully fleshed out. So they really just enjoy it for what it is. And for me personally, yeah, I'm in the same boat too, but I'm definitely in the boat to where I want to see at least a sequel happen, but I want it to be treated in the regard of the original with that same amount of respect, creativity, and that, you know, high dedication to make a sequel really stand out as much as the original game. Because, you know, that's really hard with video game franchises these days, that their sequels are very, very hard to meet the majestic nature of the original and just how, you know, awe-inspiring they are. I mean, if you want proof, take a look at Golden Sun and Golden Sun: The Lost Age, with how two of those games are really big masterpiece JRPGs on the Game Boy Advance. But then its third game, which is on the DS, called Dark Dawn, didn't really meet up fans' expectations because of the developer taking too long to get the game out, and we just pretty much got a half-assed story that didn't really, you know, do a whole lot. But, you know, if you don't want to try out, if you don't wish for Chrono Trigger to get a sequel, then at least there are games that actually do take some ideas that people have been wanting, you know, people within Square Enix that have been wanting to do a sequel to Chrono Trigger. They've been implementing those ideas into Final Fantasy Dimensions 2 on the smartphones. So you ought to read up on that if you have the chance, because there are connections with what the people at Square Enix were trying to do, in case that they were trying to make a sequel to either that or Chrono Cross or whatever. But if you want a game that kind of does, you know, plays the same way as Chrono Trigger in a different light, but is actually really good, then I highly suggest Radiant Historia on either the DS or even Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology on the 3DS, because that game felt like it should have been the sequel. It should have been the sequel that Chrono Trigger deserves. And, you know, I personally agree, and I really do like that. It's definitely one of my favorite hidden gems from the DS, and I think it really made the transition well for the 3DS in terms of its remake. But anyway, that's all I have to say with that comment. Thank you, Christian Lopez, for bringing that up. And as I said, if you like what you see in this video, then be sure to rate this video, as well as leaving your feedback down in the comments. And whatever feedback or question you leave in the comments in this video, then I will feature your comment in the next video, as well as featuring your channel in the description of the next video. And if you like what you see, then be sure to hit that subscribe button underneath this video, as well as hitting the video notification bell that's right next to the subscription button, so that way you're notified of when the next video I'll be uploading will go live. And when you hit that subscribe button, that means that more support from you guys will mean that more content is coming from me in the future that you guys are not going to find anywhere else. So anyway, guys, I gotta get going. So until next time, this is Double RPG signing off by saying Godspeed and game on, gamers. Peace out!